Since I have no class on Friday, I'm gonna use that time to do all of my homework for that 1 week. Said no YouTubers ever. Hey guys, welcome back to another movie review, and today I want to talk about The Nun. So The Nun is a spin-off slash prequel, kind of a prequel to The Conjuring 2, this time exploring the origin of Valak, the demonic nun. And right there, that's like the big problem with this movie. Is an origin movie of a character that nobody really asked for. Not only that, this movie effectively made The Conjuring 2 that much less scarier because now you know everything that you need to know about Valak. You know about this demon, you know where it came from, you know how to defeat it. And it just made this entity, this really scary, horrifying entity, like a fantasy movie villain. I was scared of this demonic nun because I don't know anything about it. And it's that mystery that made Valak such a scary presence on screen. But this movie, it tells you everything that you need to know about Valak. Wow, that was so uncharacteristic of me to start out a video with such a negative attitude like that. I'm sorry. This movie is not bad. Let's just get that out of the way. This movie is not a bad movie. It is a fine, it's a reasonably well-made movie. A reasonably well-made horror movie. First of all, I like the two leads quite a bit. Father Burke, he is this really old, not like old, but like, you know, he's like in mid 50s, 60. He is a priest with a really dark past, and then you know, later on in the movie you learn about, you know, what happened. His character was well fleshed out, and he has a really likable presence on screen. And the same thing with Sister Irene, played by Taissa Farmiga, who is the sister of the actress who played Lorraine from The Conjuring, which is a really interesting connection there. I thought that was really fascinating. But anyway, her performance was really good. She played this sort of young nun, but who's not a nun yet. It's like an internship, you know, to be a nun. And I thought she did a really good job. You know, I like the fact that she is not yet a nun. There's a lot for her to learn, and you know, for her character to grow. And I just love the fact that deep down you can feel that these two characters, they're really good people. They actually care about the community. And you know, when they are sent to this really creepy sort of castle to investigate this thing, they do it because they care and they have a set of values that they, you know, live by. And I really appreciate that. They're not there to get paid. They're not there because they have to, you know. They're there because they want to be, because they care about the situation, which is a really admirable trait, especially for lead characters. But the film kind of suffered from having two lead characters because it could have been fine. It could have been okay with just one character, because, you know, the father Burke and Sister Irene, they don't really, as you know, characters, they don't really add anything to one another. They're fine by their own, and they have good chemistry, you know, so on and so on. But the two characters and their path and their, you know, story arc doesn't really have anything to do with each other. If you take one of them out, either one, the remaining characters would have been so much better, so much more fleshed out, so much more developed. And instead of having two fine protagonists, you could have had one really, really great protagonist, which is a shame, because the two of them are really good in the movie. But I feel like the movie would have been a lot better from a character point of view if there's just one lead. And there's this supporting character. He wants people to call him Frenchie. He's really cool. He's funny. It's a horror movie after all, so I don't know how much humor would be too much humor. You know, the audience that I, you know, saw the movie with, they laugh a lot. They had a good time with Frenchie. But for me, the movie could have used a bit less comedy, because again, it's a horror movie after all. Not that the movie is not scary. The movie is scary, but the comedy at times could be a bit distracting. Sometimes it add a little bit of like light moments, which is necessary in a movie like this, but too much of those could be a bit distracting. The soundtrack is really, really creepy. Every time Valak is on screen, they have this like really weird scored. It sounds like a bunch of dudes that, you know, go into a room with like a little microphone in front of them, just go I don't know, like it sounds something like that, but it's so effective for some reason. It's weird, but it's effective. Weird but effective. And by setting this movie in like I think 1952, I believe. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's 1952. In this like really isolated castle in the middle of nowhere. So the castle itself is really creepy. There's some really cool shot of the nun just standing in the shadow, and some really cool shot in that castle. And the castle is surrounded by a wood. Like you're in the wood by yourself at night, and there's a cemetery right there. There's nothing creepier than that. And I feel like the filmmakers, they utilized that setting really well, because when the characters are in need of help, they can't just call the police. They can't just call someone, like call the neighbors or call the people to help them. There's just nobody there to help them. So I thought that aspect of the movie really worked. But by the end of the second act, they did something. I can't really spoil it, but they did something with the story that make this film less a horror movie with fantasy element, but the opposite. It became a fantasy movie with horror elements. And the third act was supposed to be like really cool, really epic. It's just not as scary as the first two, because now the movie is a different movie. It's a fantasy movie now. And I do not like jump scare, right? I think jump scare is a really cheap way to scare an audience. It's just like a loud noise, And in this movie, they have quite a bit of jump scares. Some of them work, some of them don't. And I feel like some of the scarier parts of this movie is when the filmmakers, they again utilize the setting, the atmosphere, the creepy castle, the creepy woods, to their advantage. There are some really cool shots of the nun, just a wide shot of showing you the nun just standing right behind the Sister Irene. And I just wish they had more of that in this movie. When it happens, it's really cool, but it didn't happen enough. And as a fan of the series, I love how they ties everything together by the end of the movie. It doesn't really ruin The Conjuring, doesn't really ruin Annabelle for anybody. They tied it up really nicely. So yeah, and as a fan, I thought that was really satisfying. The Nun is not the best entry to the Conjuring series, but it's still pretty fun. Like if you're a fan of this series, a fan of horror movie, you're gonna have a little bit of fun with this movie. It could have been a great movie had the editing, and some of the more creative choices were stronger, but the performance were good. And I love the setting, I love the music, and overall I had a good time. I'm gonna give The Nun a 6 out of 10. Hey guys, thank you for watching. Iron Fist Season 2 is on Netflix right now. I hope to finish it before the end of the weekend to get the reviews out for you guys. But if I don't be mad at me. I have school. It's a lot, but I'll try to work through it. All right. Once again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my review, hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more reviews like this. If you got a chance to see The Nun, let me know in the comment section how you feel about it. Did you like it? Did you not like it? With that being said, see you soon.